Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patton. It's a pleasure to be back with you, and as we start the new year course, and now we're heading into March, and hopefully spring, because it's been a cold winter, I think, but not a bad one in some ways, but enough that people are sick of it. I know I am.
Well, Dick, I'm glad to be back with you.
I know, yes.
I'm Ken Georgevits, and
Yes.
my hat I'm here with today is the Kiwanis Club, and then talking about service clubs overall.
Yes.
I've got a good friend in the Navy that was raised in Tucson, Arizona. I said, it's awful hot out there. But he said, you don't have to shovel sunshine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So-
exactly. We were down in Jacksonville a couple weeks ago for a quick trip to, and it was 85 degrees on Friday, and it was 60 degrees on Sunday. So enough to, like,
Yeah.
to them they're whatever, but to me, I was chilly down there. But
It's nice, but it's New England, and
Oh,
it's New
yeah,
Hampshire.
that's right,
That's
yeah.
why I think keeping our First in the Nation primary is important, because people here really get into it, and they'll go out in any weather conditions, rain, snow, sleet, or hail.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure people would do that in other parts of the country, but in New Hampshire we take our politics very seriously.
Well, the trouble too, Ken, with that is that now more states are getting into this early voting thing where they'll mail in the ballots anytime they want.
In California,
Yes,
going
that's
to
one
go
of them.
on that.
And, that's going to hurt a lot of states because they'll just start doing it themselves.
There they go. Well, I understand that New Hampshire has a state law that says we will
It's
be
supposed to be, yeah.
the First of the Nation. So even if we had the First of the Nation on day one and somebody else tried to have it on day 1/2,
Yeah,
we'd have to have ours again on day 3.
yeah.
Right there. And so we will be First in the Nation, and it works out good. It's good for our economy too.
Well,
No
yeah,
question
it
about
is.
that.
But
So.
I don't know, but so what's going on with Kiwanis? I know it was just a matter of, 3 months, I guess, 2 months, or, 2 months and a half, I guess, 3 months, till they think about the spring fair.
No, you and I are the same there.
Yeah.
It will always be the spring fair.
Yeah.
I've got several friends that have remarried, and I remember them as their first married name. And I introduced them to somebody by their first married name, and oh no, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like that. So you and I, it'll always be the trade fair.
Yeah.
This year will be the 64th, May 16th to 19th, down at the Everett Arena.
Wow.
And just to give the overview of Kiwanis, Kiwanis is a nonpartisan, non-denominational group of men and women that work together for community good. And our focus, for example, the Lions is focused on eyes. Our focus is on young children priority 1. We've been doing that here in Concord since April of 1924.
Wow.
So we've been around a while and been through a lot. Went through World War I, Great Depression, went through World Wars, and so Concord has hung around. But I know one of the things you wanted to talk about was how we doing.
Well, I mean, we hear about, the Grange is one. It's a good example. We're 105 years old this year in May, and it will be in May. And there are, at one time we had close to 100,000 members in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire alone.
In New Hampshire alone.
Wow.
And now we're down to around 3,000, 2,000, 3,000 members. And it's why? Is it because there's so much going on now, like for the kids or the teenagers, they don't need to come to a meeting, or they go to the mall, go to the movies, or just stay home and stay on the computer.
Well, that stay home, stay on the computer is probably one.
Yeah.
Go to the mall, we can see in Concord.
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to happen
No, that's going
for
downhill.
much longer. It depends on where you are also. We've got a Kiwanis club up in Colebrook, New Hampshire, and one in Presque Isle, Maine.
Oh,
And
wow.
they're very active clubs because there's not much to do and good things saying about those cities, but not much to do other than
No, that's right.
I know you are a lifelong Concord resident, and they had one movie theater downtown that was where you would go. Now we have the Cineplex over here that I noticed they just changed the sign that they don't even put the movies up anymore
I
because
know, and
they're
I
showing
can't
so
get
many
over
movies
that.
that they say, go to our website to see.
I know, and that's surprising people because are they still open?
Yeah.
Well, there's an ad in the paper, but you know, again, it gives you
Well,
wonder.
instead of going to one movie and that movie plays for 2 weeks, I got 13 movies I can go to, 12 or 13 movies, and you could go out every night of the week just to the movie theater for
Yeah,
2 weeks
yeah.
and not see the same thing.
I know.
So that makes it tougher to compete.
Sure.
And we're sitting in a room that has a box for a 50-inch ultra high definition television I see across the room from me. So why go to the movies? Why
Yeah,
go out?
I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember Saturday nights was a night when my folks would go to the local, go up to Bradford or to Webster or up toward George's Mills for the barn dances.
Oh,
The Eastern Style Square dances. That was their big thing, you know, to go on a Saturday night up there, the dances. Now, of course, those are gone, as far as I know. I mean, you still have a few of the Western style square dance clubs around, but mostly it's just everything is. Of course, wintertime is hard. There's not much going on.
but we're
In
still
one way.
big boys and girls
Yep.
in New Hampshire, and
Yeah.
if we can't get out, my niece just moved to Seattle, and
Oh, boy.
Seattle last week, you know, had the snowstorm.
Oh, yeah.
Where they got 4 to 6 inches of snow, and the store shelves were
Oh, yeah,
cleared
yeah.
off. It's like,
Yeah.
I called my niece up and I said, because she was raised in Massachusetts, I said, is everything going to be okay out there? Oh yeah, it's fine, just 4 to 6 inches of snow, but they have no idea what to do in just 4 to 6 inches of snow. So I think that we can't, if, you know, my son Andrew went to Arizona State, and I would check the weather forecast for Concord and for Arizona, Tempe, Arizona, and every day, sunny and hot, sunny and
Oh,
hot,
I
sunny and
know.
hot, sunny and hot.
Yeah.
And it was boring to look
Yeah.
at. Of course, right, you know, when it snows tonight, I'll be saying I wish it was sunny and hot. But
Oh, I know.
overall, and speaking of that, of how Kiwanis has done good things, when he went out there, he didn't know anybody, and I called up the past president of the Kiwanis Club of Tempe and said, my son's coming to ASU, can you show him around? He says, what flight will he be on? He
Yeah,
actually picked him
yeah.
up at the airport, and that's a good thing to do.
Sure.
I had a strange call to do Kiwanis service from Norfolk, Virginia last month. A man down there who had joined 2 Kiwanis clubs, because you can join more than one.
Oh, really?
Especially
Yeah,
for
we can.
snowbirds.
Yeah.
You know, your Kiwanis up in New Hampshire, Kiwanis in Florida type
Yeah.
thing. So we say that you can be in 2 clubs.
Sure.
And unfortunately, this man was younger than us. We're about the same age. And he passed of cancer. He was originally from here, and they did the internment down there, but they had a celebration of life for his people that he knew all up in the Concord
Sure.
area.
Yeah.
And so their club president called their club lieutenant governor, called their district governor, who called the district governor past of New England, who called me, knowing I was from Kiwanis and Concord, and I ended up doing a eulogy for this guy that I never met. It turned out that he was in the Navy, so I was
Yeah,
able to spin
sure.
some Navy stuff in there too. But that's the type of thing, the fellowship that this guy
Exactly.
didn't know my son. He picked him up at the airport. I didn't know this man. I did a eulogy for him. And we were down at the Red Blazer upstairs there where they had the function room, and didn't know anybody in the room. They didn't know me,
Yes, no.
but they were still happy to have me there. That somebody spoke about whether you're in Arizona or in Virginia or in Concord, New Hampshire, you're doing community service work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're caring about the
Yeah.
community. You're getting involved.
Sure.
It costs almost nothing to be in a community service group.
No.
Our Kiwanis dues are $135 a year, so that's not much, and half of that goes to Indianapolis Kiwanis International.
Yes. Yeah.
But overall, it's your time.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's the thing.
people are trying to do too many things. I'm going to get in trouble for this with my daughter, but I have a granddaughter now. And
Do you really?
Yeah,
Oh,
Kenzie,
congratulations.
and it's a beautiful. This being a grandfather
Is this second, two of them now?
no, just one grandchild.
Just one, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kenzie goes to dance lessons. Kenzie goes to gymnastic classes.
Oh, boy.
Kenzie goes with her mother to field hockey and lacrosse training.
Oh,
She's
gee.
2.
Yeah.
She's 2. Imagine what she's going to be as she's. There's too many options. Again, when we were growing up, in Kiwanis sponsors both a Little League and a Babe Ruth team
Yeah.
in Concord.
Remember
So
that.
we still do that. That's one of the things we've been doing for a long time. There was maybe 1 or 2 teams, one league maybe. I didn't even know if there was Babe Ruth then. And now if you even look in the paper, I checked it this morning just to see, there's a lot of teams looking, players needed. And so it's not Kiwanis, it's
No.
not just anything, it's that people have a lot of choices.
Yeah.
I use the Coca-Cola example. Also, when we were growing up, there was Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
You go down the aisle now, there's Diet Coke, there's Cherry Coke, there's caffeine-free Coke, there's Diet caffeine-free Coke, there's Vanilla Coke. So even the movie, even the movie Back to the Future, and Michael J. Fox goes in and says, "I'll have a Coke, Pepsi, or something like that." It's just you have too many options.
Oh, I know.
And then it requires a decision.
It does.
And I would rather people give, their time to one cause and do it well, and be on the list or the roster of many organizations just for resume building.
Sure. Sure.
Unfortunately, we all know some individuals who've done that, and it's nice for numbers, but how many people really work?
That's the thing.
Yeah. We see the same in Kiwanis. We see the same here at Immaculate Heart of Mary Church as well. I found out that New Hampshire is the most secular state in the nation. We just beat out Vermont as the most secular state in New Hampshire.
Really?
Yep. And we also, I'm pretty sure, we're 1 or 2 in the least amount of giving charitable donations to people.
Yes, I read that one. I was
So,
surprised at
yeah,
that.
yeah, and you look at that and you say, people aren't going to church, people aren't making donations. What are people doing?
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer to that. If you have the answer to that, please reach out to me. Dick has a way to get in touch with me. But if you can come up with the answer to that, you'll be a rich person.
Well, of course, I know right now they're selling Girl Scout cookies out there. Now, for many, many, many years, they always went house to house, in pairs usually sometimes, or an adult with their child. But now the tendency is to either go online, or they'll stand outside Walmart or a store or something. And my problem with that is I don't mind buying a box of cookies, but the trouble is I always say, where are you from? And they'll say, well, we're from Barnstead, or we're from what? Oh, okay, well, I'd rather support a Concord troop than Barnstead. Now, I know there are not many stores over in maybe Barnstead or Pittsfield or whatever, but I'd rather support my Heights troop first, then whoever else afterwards. But that's the way I am. But I mean, and then of course now Girl Scout cookies, which used to be $2 a box, and you got a good sized box of cookies back those days. Now you're getting maybe paying $5 to $6, maybe $7 a box, maybe even more than that. I don't know. And you get maybe 2 sleeves of cookies. That's terrible.
Well, I look at it this way, and I can remember back to when I was in college. I was in Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity, teak. I was a teak, and we sold light bulbs to make money. Okay, that's fine. I sold the most light bulbs of anybody.
Yeah.
And people said, how how do you sell light bulbs, especially at that price? Because it was an outrageous price we were charging.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I don't sell light bulbs. And they looked at me funny, you don't sell light bulbs? I thought you were selling light bulbs. I said, I know, I'm selling my fraternity. I'm selling college education. I'm selling my willingness to get off the couch and go and knock on the door.
Yeah.
And people would buy light bulbs, and that's the same thing. They're not selling cookies per se.
No.
They're selling the Girl Scouts, and you're supporting the Girl Scouts.
Sure.
And so, whatever it is, if you have your mindset set to what's my actual product, my fraternity, my college, my Girl Scouts, my church, my social organization, if that's what you're selling, it'll sell no matter what the price is.
I know.
But if you're selling cookies, you're probably right. It's not the best value there.
Well, and again, in some cases, it's like at Christmas time. We used to stand outside. Now, I know Kiwanis still does this. They stand out there ringing the bell with the red kettle dry. And the Grange used to do this until now. We don't have hardly anybody that can do it. But the ones who could give you money or donate for the red kettle drive will walk over here and we'll look at you. The ones who can't afford it will come to you. Even with change, they'll come to you.
Having rung the bells for 35 plus years myself, and everybody takes a couple of slots from Kiwanis, and we do it for an hour at a time. If you do it for more than an hour, it's tough.
It is.
It's cold, and you get there. But I'm always amazed at the people that will donate money. There are people that put money in that bucket that I know that's coming from their real pockets. It's not just and I'm also amazed at the number of parents who will turn and give their child, go put that in the pot, and the child will say, "Why, mommy?"
Right.
That it's just a good thing to do is to go out and do that, and it amazes me. And then it also amazes me, people the slot's really small. I see people putting $20 bills in on a regular basis, and it crosses all age groups. It crosses men, women, and the Salvation Army's done well. Now, there was some articles in the newspaper that the Salvation Army was down a little bit this year. And some of the articles were fairly nasty about Salvation Army being down, and maybe if they had different rules, but it is a church organization, the Salvation Army. They do have a few boundaries that they work within, but the issue is that they'll work with you. And everybody wants to make everything a political statement.
Oh yes.
No matter what it is, they want to make it a political statement. And again, we're happy that New Hampshire's first in the nation, so maybe it really hits us harder here in New Hampshire, but everybody's trying to make this political statement of one person at one group that had one bad experience, and suddenly all the apples are bad in the barrel.
Yep.
And so that's not the case. Overall, the Kiwanis, Grange, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, most church organizations, if there's one bad apple, people seem, and with computers, if that bad apple happened to be there 33 years ago, it looks like it was yesterday, because with computers, they can bring that up. The number of people I know that are looking through their college yearbooks, checking to see what pictures might be out there, and I'll be the last person to throw the first stone. So there's always somebody who could take something the wrong way. You could take one sentence that you know this person for a couple of years, and you've been brothers and sisters with them, and then you say one thing that they feel uncomfortable with, and all of a sudden it explodes. So that's why I think people, and even Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts going to your house nowadays.
You gotta be careful.
You gotta be careful, and I think we are so hypersensitive to this. that's a little too controversial. I'll skip that one that I was just going to talk about.
Now you're heavily in the service too. Or you're retired now, I know.
Yep, I retired 26 years from the Navy.
Yeah.
And I'll bring that subject up about being hypersensitive. In the last few days, the picture from Times Square of the sailor kissing the nurse.
Yes.
Is there anybody our age who doesn't recognize that picture?
I wouldn't have.
But
yeah.
you know that picture was the cover of Life magazine.
Yeah.
It was the end of the war, VJ Day.
Sure.
And everybody knows there's a controversy of which sailor it was.
Oh,
and
really?
there's two people. It was on the front page of the Monitor just
Yeah, I
yesterday.
saw that.
And there's a controversy about that. But that just showed the attitude at the time. It was like the war was over. And just whoever you were around, you just wanted to hug them. And being in Times Square, I did 7 Fleet Weeks with the Navy in New York. Greatest job in the Navy, being on Fleet Week in New York. And somebody had a statue of this sailor kissing, who happened to be a nurse. And somebody vandalized the statue 2 days ago and wrote "Me Too" on the nurse's leg. And I just say, you forget. Technically, if you look at it, this sailor just came up to this strange woman and gave her a hug. Wow. But if you look at what the whole context was, the war was over. Millions of Americans were changing, not dying.
No.
And somebody even made that statue a political statement. And I just am frustrated with that. But again, I don't want to get too much into politics.
So there's 2 people that claim to be the same, that person?
Yes, yep.
Really? Now,
Yep.
see, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I've got the details of it at home. In
Yeah,
fact,
isn't that something?
Andrew has one of them that actually signed the picture, and we have that at home.
Isn't that something?
But there's no proof. It's the same thing
Yeah.
about the Iwo Jima monument.
Oh, yeah.
Which guys were the ones that actually held the flag, and did they actually hold the flag, or did they get to the top of the mountain and then somebody said, "Hey, this is a great Kodak moment right here,"
Yeah.
and we'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know. You never know. And now with the technology, you never know if a picture's real anyways. When I did the inauguration with President Obama, I ran all the DOD official ceremonial balls. It was a great job.
Sure.
And I was thrilled to do it, no matter what the partisan politics were.
Yeah.
He's still the commander-in-chief, and I was proud and privileged to do it.
Sure.
But you look around, somebody had a picture of Barack Obama dancing with Sarah Palin in like ballroom dancing. Now I can guarantee you, they were not dancing.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know
if
that.
I looked at this picture with a magnifying glass, you would not be able to tell that it was a Photoshop picture. So now, even if I see it on video or a picture of it, unless I've seen it with my own eyes, then I tend to question it.
Oh, so you actually did see it then?
Oh, I saw the picture.
Yeah, you saw the picture.
But I can tell you that Barack Obama did not ballroom dance with Sarah Palin.
Well, I wouldn't think so, because she was...
But the picture was flawless.
Yeah.
People say, we have this evidence. And it's like,
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know if that's real or
You're
not.
crazy.
So, but to stay on a positive note, again, Kiwanis is still growing strong.
Yeah.
We have 25 to 35 members because people are much more active than they were. We still do the same things. We raise about, depending on the weather, as you know, $15,000 at the spring fair and about $10,000 at the car show, which is 7 September this year down at NHTI. And that money goes into our budget, which we then turn around and give back to the general community. One of the things that we do is give out scholarships or book awards so that it doesn't affect people's FAFSA scores if you put them as a book award versus scholarship. So we have people to know how to play that. We do a lot with the tech school. This year we're donating 3 pediatric mannequins because they have a very good EMT program over at HTI. But if they're going to do pediatric trauma on you or me, it's going to be different than it's on my granddaughter.
Yeah.
Just with CPR, fingers, hands, type that. And most schools don't train for pediatric trauma. They only train for adult trauma.
Yeah.
And so now NHTI has a good program, and we help fund some of their tools that they use.
Sure.
Doing an IV, doing airway clearing and things like that. Pediatric trauma is something that, again, you don't normally get at emergency training school. That leads into one of Kiwanis International's and Kiwanis New England's foundations. One of the best things that we've done is the Kiwanis Pediatric Trauma Institute, KPTI, in Boston. And that's arguably the best pediatric trauma facility on the planet. Now, it's really good that that's an hour away.
Yeah.
We live in an area of the world where the best hospitals are an hour away.
Wow.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And they also have Children's Hospital at Dartmouth, Chad. And the Kiwanis groups over there do a lot with that. So that's a lot of work we do with that. We also sponsor 3 Key Clubs. Kiwanis Educates Youth. The Key Club is the largest high school service organization in the country, with over 250,000 members.
So you do Concord, Brady, Concord, Hopkinton, and Pembroke?
Concord, Pembroke, and Merrimack Valley. And that is a high school group of kids that have an idea that they want to be involved in service. Now, they help us out too at the spring fair, selling tickets, parking cars, crossing streets. They help us out at the car show as well, selling hot dogs and things like that.
So you used to have them at Pittsfield, Hopkinton, Pembroke?
Pittsfield,
Yeah.
and Hopkinton was just for a short while. Pittsfield was 30 years ago.
Wow.
Because I've been in Kiwanis for 35 years, and Pittsfield was a. But again, you need a school faculty advisor, and in some environments, faculty advisors that aren't paid don't do
No, they
faculty
just...
advice, and you can't blame them. I mean, their time is valuable.
Sure.
They're going to put in the time. They could expect compensation, but I happen to know a priest that was talking about his church to their finance committee, and he said, I'm just not used to this. We pay for music groups here. We pay for CCD teachers here. My other parishes, everybody volunteered, but here we have to pay for it. So it was like unknown to him. But it's the way of the world. People put a value on their time. And we always appreciate the chance to get out and talk and say, if you want to get more information about us, you can go to www.concordkiwanis.org or kiwanis.org to see about the international organization. And it's a good way to get involved. And I used to travel all over the country, as you know, and I would go to Kiwanis clubs in Xena, Ohio. I just look it up, and there it is.
Well, we're coming to our close of around town, and boy, it's gone fast, Ken, but it's been good having you come on board and get us started and get us thinking about the fair coming up in a couple months, and then you and Chris Pappas, Chris will be coming on in the late April and early May, and really get us in ready for it, and then here we go with spring, so.
Yeah, that's the kickoff to spring.
Basically,
I've been doing this show for a while, and that's a kickoff to spring. So again, May 16th to 19th at the Everett Arena, September 7th for the car show at NHTI.
Okay, well that's good, because again, time will go fast, so. Well, if you have any questions about Kiwanis, give Ken a call, and his number is 22.
No, we use 496-1200.
All right.
That's a nice easy. I got lucky.
There you go.
496-1200. I got a lucky cell phone.
So, thanks for joining us. Thanks to Brian, my director, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon on Around Town. I'm your host, Dick Pat.